Are you deaf? I said get out. Kelvin's voice bounced off the glass walls of the reception like thunder. He stood over her, tall and angry, his expensive grey suit sharp, his wristwatch shining under the bright office lights. His polished shoes were only inches away from her trembling hands. Tamara Lawson was on her knees on the cold marble floor, one hand still holding the wet mop, the other pressed to the ground to steady herself. Dirty water from her small yellow bucket had spilled everywhere when Kelvin kicked it. Brown water spread across the white floor like a shameful stain. Some staff covered their mouths, others did not even try. They laughed. They pointed. They whispered, "See this useless cleaner. She cannot even hold common bucket. She should go back to the village." Tamara's heart pounded so loudly she could hear it in her ears. Her eyes were hot with tears, her cheeks wet. Her simple blue cleaner uniform clung to her thin frame, soaked near the bottom where the water had splashed. "Please, sir. I am sorry," she whispered, her voice shaking. "I will clean it. Just give me one more." "One more what?" Kelvin cut in, stepping closer. He bent down slightly, so his face was inches from hers. His cologne was strong. His smile was cruel. "You are slow, you are clumsy, you are always in the way. This is not a charity home. This is Lawson Global. We do not pay idiots to mop the floor." The word idiots sliced through her chest. Tamara's fingers tightened around the mop handle. Her vision blurred with tears, but she kept her head down. If she looked at him too long, if she opened her mouth too wide, she was afraid everything would come out. Her real name, her real power, her real blood. I really need this job," she whispered. "Please, sir, I promise." Kelvin straightened up and laughed loudly, turning to the crowd of staff gathered near the reception desks. "You hear that?" he shouted. "She really needs this job." A few people chuckled. One woman in a tight black dress shook her head, smiling. A young man in a white shirt took out his phone as if he wanted to record, but then quickly put it back, afraid. Kelvin pointed at Tamara like she was trash. "You are fired," he said slowly, enjoying every word. "Pack your nonsense and leave this building now, before I call security to drag you out." The laughter grew louder. Some workers turned away, pretending they did not see. Others leaned on the wall just to watch the drama. Tamara's whole body shook. Fired. In front of everyone. Like she was nothing. Her lips parted. For a second, the truth nearly broke out. "You are talking to the owner's daughter. You are standing on my father's floor. This company is mine." But she swallowed it back down with her tears. Instead, she whispered something only her heart could hear. "This is not your company," she breathed. Kelvin did not hear her. He had already turned away, waving his hand like he was chasing away a fly. "Somebody clean up this mess," he shouted at the other cleaners. "And next time, make sure we do not hire people who cannot even carry a bucket." As Tamara tried to stand, her knee slipped on the wet floor, and she almost fell again. A few people laughed harder. She finally got up, holding the mop like a walking stick, her eyes fixed on the ground so no one would see the fire hidden behind her tears. No one knew the truth. No one knew that the useless cleaner they were mocking was the only child of the man whose giant picture hung on the wall behind them. The late Mr. Daniel Lawson, founder of Lawson Global, billionaire, the man they all claimed to respect. Tamara sniffed, wiped her face, and began to walk slowly towards the staff exit door. Each step felt heavy. But inside her, something was waking up. Something stronger than fear, stronger than shame. By the time her hand touched the cold metal handle of the exit door, her tears had stopped. Her eyes were no longer just sad. They were sharp. "This is the last day I walk out of this building as a cleaner," she said to herself. And somewhere deep inside her, a quiet decision formed. A decision that would shake the entire company. A decision that would make every person in that reception remember this moment and regret it. Tamara pushed the door open and stepped outside. The door closed behind her with a soft click, and from that moment everything began to change. The first day Tamara walked into Lawson Global as a cleaner, nobody looked at her twice. That was exactly what she wanted. The huge building stood in Victoria Island, Lagos. Glass walls shone under the sun. Security men in neat uniforms stood by the gate. Expensive cars drove in and out of the compound. Inside, the reception looked like a five-star hotel. White marble floors, big green plants in tall pots. Employees in smart suits walked fast with files and laptops. Tamara stood near the back door that morning, wearing a plain blue cleaner uniform and simple black shoes. Her curly hair was packed into a tight bun under a cheap black cap. She held a yellow mop bucket in one hand and a folded cleaning cloth in the other. She looked nothing like a billionaire heiress. And she liked it. She took a deep breath and whispered to herself, "Daddy, if you can see me, please guide me today." Her father had died 6 months ago. Since then, everything had changed. The house was quiet. The family dining table felt empty. And Lawson Global, the company he had built from nothing, felt like a stranger to her. Her father used to tell her stories about the company. "How we treat people is more important than how much we make," he always said. "If the cleaner is afraid to speak, then we have failed." But after his death, things began to feel wrong. Workers whispered about unpaid allowances. People complained that managers shouted at them. Rumors about missing funds started to circle around the company like flies. Tamara had tried to ask questions in the boardroom. Some of the older directors smiled at her like she was a small girl. "Do not worry about these things," they said. "We will handle it." But she did worry, because it was not just these things. It was her father's legacy. So she made a strange decision. She asked the family lawyer to keep her full control of the company quiet for a while. On paper, the board would manage things. In reality, she would study them. Not from the top floor, from the ground. As a cleaner. On her first week, Tamara moved quietly through the building. She cleaned windows, wiped desks, and mopped long corridors. She listened more than she spoke. She heard 2 secretaries talk about Kelvin, the operations manager. "Once the man enters a room, everybody starts shaking," one said. "He shouted at a driver yesterday so badly the man almost cried," the other replied. "But Kelvin is close to one of the directors, so nobody can touch him." She saw a young lady in HR blink back tears after coming out of his office. She watched security men stand straighter when he passed, like soldiers. On her second week, she noticed more things. A file that went missing after it showed some money did not add up. A cleaner who complained about her small salary and was warned to stop talking too much if she wanted to keep her job. Staff who smiled in front of Kelvin but rolled their eyes behind his back. Every day, Tamara went home with tired legs and a notebook full of secret notes. Name of people who were kind, name of people who were cruel, things that smelled like corruption, things that felt like fear. She wanted proof before she acted. She wanted to see, with her own eyes, how far her father's company had fallen. But she did not know that on the 3rd week, her test would turn into a storm. That morning started like every other day. Tamara came early, signed in as Tammy Ade, and joined the other cleaners near the back door. Their supervisor, a tired woman in a faded shirt, gave them areas to clean. "Tammy, you will handle the reception today," she said. "Make sure the floor is shining. We have some important guests." Tamara nodded. Her heart beat a little faster. The reception was where everyone could see her. Managers, directors, new people she had not observed yet. She pushed her bucket out to the wide open space, dipped the mop in the soapy water, and began to clean in slow, steady lines. For a while, everything was calm. She heard phones ringing, heels clicking, the soft hum of people talking. She focused on her work and tried to ignore the pain in her back. Then, the main doors slid open. She did not need to look up to know that someone important had arrived. The air changed. People moved differently. Heads turned. She glanced up and saw him for the first time clearly. Kelvin. Tall. Dark. His suit perfectly fitted. A confident smile on his face, as if the whole building belonged to him. He walked in with 2 junior staff behind him, carrying files. As he crossed the reception, his eyes landed on Tamara. He frowned. And in that one small frown, Tamara felt danger. He walked straight toward her. "Why is this floor wet by this time?" he snapped. "Do you want someone to fall and break their leg?" Tamara quickly pulled the mop closer. "Sorry, sir, I am almost done. I will dry it now." But her hand shook. The mop slipped slightly. The bucket moved. And in that tiny moment, Everything went wrong. Kelvin's shoe hit the side of the bucket. Water rushed out like a small wave, splashing on his expensive trousers. He looked down at the stain. His jaw tightened. Slowly he lifted his head and stared at her with cold, burning anger. Right there, in front of the giant photo of her father smiling on the wall, Kelvin took one step closer to her. And that was the moment the humiliation began. Kelvin's shadow covered her like a dark cloud. The whole reception became quiet. Yet somehow the silence made everything louder. The fear, the embarrassment, the shame. Tamara kept her eyes low, clutching the mop like it was the only thing keeping her from falling. Her heart thudded in her chest, but she stayed still. One wrong look, one wrong word, and she knew she might reveal everything. Kelvin pointed at the spill on his trousers. "Do you know how much this suit costs?" he hissed. Tamara swallowed, her throat dry. I'm really sorry, sir." "Sorry?" Kelvin snapped. "Is that all you cleaners ever know how to say? Sorry? Sorry does not fix stupidity." A few staff near the front desks exchanged looks. Some whispered and covered their mouths. No one stepped forward. No one defended her, not one person. Kelvin took a slow step closer until his polished shoe touched the edge of her mop. "You're not only slow," he said, "you are careless. And I am tired of seeing you everywhere like a mistake that refuses to go away." The words stabbed deep. Tamara felt her chest tighten. She looked around and saw faces staring at her as if she was dirt. This was her father's company. His dream. His life's work. But right now, she felt like a ghost no one respected. A stranger in her own home. Kelvin leaned closer. "You will clean this whole area again." But not standing. His voice dropped lower. "Kneel." Her breath caught, her fingers trembled. Her father's portrait hung on the wall behind him, a giant frame with a kind smile and gentle eyes. Eyes that believed in dignity. Eyes that believed everyone deserved respect. Kelvin turned slightly so she could still see the portrait over his shoulder. A cold smile touched his lips. "I said kneel. Are you deaf?" Something in her snapped. Not anger, not pride, but a deep ache in her chest that felt like betrayal. "How dare you? How dare you do this here under my father's picture?" Tamara's knees touched the cold marble floor. Her hands shook as she picked up the mop. She lowered her head even though every cell in her body screamed for her to stand up and expose him. As she tried to clean the floor on her knees, Kelvin spoke loudly to the watching staff. "This is why some people remain poor. No sense, no effort, no class." People laughed. The sound echoed and echoed until it filled her whole chest. Someone muttered, "She looks like she hasn't eaten since yesterday." Another added, "This one cannot even hold mop properly. How did she get the job?" Tears dropped onto the marble. Small, round, painful. She cleaned the floor with her head down, her heart cracking piece by piece. This was not what her father wanted. This was not the company he built with love. And Kelvin was destroying it. Right in front of her. Finally, when Kelvin grew tired of humiliating her, he waved his hand like she was an insect. "Get up and leave my sight, you are fired." Her chest tightened, her throat hurt, but she stood, gripping the mop like a lifeline. "Please, just one more chance, I promise I won't." "Security," Kelvin shouted, not even letting her finish. Two guards began walking toward her. Not slowly, not gently, but like she was a criminal. The other cleaners looked away. Staff pretended to be busy with their computers so they wouldn't meet her eyes. Everyone avoided her like embarrassment was contagious. As the guards reached her, Kelvin leaned in and whispered, "You should be grateful. At least now you can look for a job you are actually good at. Maybe washing plates in a roadside restaurant." He smirked. "That is if they hire people who cry too much." A loud burst of laughter followed. People pointed. Someone even raised a phone halfway as if they wanted to record her shame. She quickly turned her face away. The guards didn't touch her, they only followed closely behind, making it clear she had to leave. When she walked toward the exit door, her steps were slow and heavy. Her vision was blurry. Her chest hurt. She felt small, invisible, powerless, something she had never felt in her entire life. But the moment she pushed the door open, The moment she stepped into the sunlight outside the building, the tears stopped flowing. The shaking in her hands stilled. And what replaced her fear was something deeper, something fierce, something cold and sharp like a rising storm. Enough. She pulled off her cleaning cap and wiped her face. Her bun loosened and her curls fell around her cheeks. She took a deep breath of the warm Lagos air. This is not the end. This is the beginning. Her father had warned her before he died. There are people who will smile in your presence but destroy you the minute you look away. Now she understood. Now she had seen it for herself. She wasn't just fired. She wasn't just humiliated. She was awakened. Her phone buzzed. A message from Uncle Bernard, the family lawyer. Uncle Bernard, Tamara. The board wants to meet today at 6 p.m. Something is not right. Call me. Her breath hitched. A sharp wind moved through her stomach. Something is not right. The same thing she had been sensing for weeks. Something bigger than just Kelvin's arrogance. Something rotten. Something hidden. She walked toward the gate slowly, but her mind raced fast. Kelvin thought today was the end for her. He thought he had broken a poor cleaner, but he had no idea. No idea who she truly was. No idea what he had just started. As she stepped out of the compound, she whispered to herself, "They will hear my name soon." But just as she reached the sidewalk, a black SUV she recognized too well turned into the compound, brakes screeching, and a familiar face inside locked eyes with her. Eyes filled with shock, then fear. The person inside knew her real identity. And they were not supposed to see her here. The black SUV rolled to a sharp stop right in front of the company gate. Its engine hummed loudly, but inside the car, everything felt frozen, silent, heavy. Tamara's breath stopped in her chest. Her feet refused to move. Because the person sitting behind the tinted window, the face that stared back at her with wide, trembling eyes, was someone who should never have seen her in that cleaner's uniform. It was Auntie Clarice, her father's younger sister, a board member, one of the few people who knew Tamara's true identity, and one of the people she trusted most. But right now, Clarice did not look like family. She didn't look warm or relieved. She looked terrified. The driver opened her door quickly. Clarice stepped out in a fitted navy gown and heels that clicked sharply on the ground. Her makeup was perfect, her jewelry glittered in the sun, but her voice shook. "Tamara?" she whispered. What are you doing here? Why are you dressed like this?" The guards at the gate turned, confused. Several employees walking into the building paused and stared. Even the receptionist peered out through the glass doors. Tamara quickly stepped away from the gate, forcing a shaky smile. "Auntie, I can explain." "No," Clarice said sharply, grabbing her wrist and pulling her toward the SUV. "Not here, not now. Get inside the car." Tamara hesitated, her heart raced. If Clarice dragged her inside the company like this, people would know. Word would spread. Her whole plan of observing the company from the bottom would crash instantly. "I can't get inside," Tamara whispered. "Not here. People will see." Clarice's voice lowered, almost into a hiss. "People have already seen enough." She looked around nervously, then leaned in close. "You can't be here, Tamara. Not like this. Something is happening inside Lawson Global, and you are walking right into danger." Tamara felt her stomach drop. "Danger? What danger?" But Clarice didn't answer. Instead, she opened her purse with trembling hands and pulled out a folded document. She handed it to Tamara quickly. "Take this, and go home immediately. Do not talk to anyone. Do not go near the board. Call me when you get home." Tamara slowly unfolded the paper. Her heart thumped harder with each line she read. It was a financial report, numbers that didn't add up, missing accounts, secret deductions, millions of naira moved without approval, signatures she didn't recognize. And then, a name circled in red ink, a name she never expected to see. Tamara felt the ground tilt beneath her feet. Her voice came out as a whisper. "Auntie, who is doing this?" Clarice swallowed hard. "People you trust," she said quietly. "People who laughed with your father. People sitting in the boardroom pretending to protect this company." Her eyes glistened. You should not be walking around this building as a cleaner. They will destroy you before you even get the chance to ask a question. Tamara wanted to respond, to ask who they were, to ask who signed the missing money, to ask why Clarice looked so frightened, but before she could speak, the loud voice of Kelvin boomed from behind. "Hey, you!" Tamara froze. Clarice stiffened. Slowly, they both turned. Kelvin stood at the entrance with two senior staff behind him. He was holding his phone. He had clearly seen Tamara standing beside the Billionaire SUV. His eyebrows were raised. Suspicion grew in his eyes. "So you are already begging people outside?" he asked loudly. "So fast? You cleaners do not waste time at all." A few workers near the door chuckled. Clarice's jaw clenched. Tamara lowered her head again. Her heart hammered. Kelvin walked closer, his tone mocking. "I hope you are not trying to borrow money for transport. Because even if you kneel from here to Lekki, nobody will hire someone as careless as you." Staff behind him burst into laughter. Clarice's eyes flared in anger. But she kept quiet. Kelvin turned to her with a fake smile. "Good afternoon, ma'am. I hope this woman has not disturbed you." Clarice closed her eyes briefly, then opened them. Her voice became calm, cold. "This woman," she said, "didn't disturb me, but you are disturbing me." Kelvin blinked. His smile wavered. Clarice stepped forward, her heels clicking sharply. "You speak too loudly for someone whose performance report is still pending." Suddenly, the other staff quieted. Kelvin's face darkened, but he still forced a smile. I don't understand what you mean, ma'am. We will talk later." Clarice cut in. Then she turned to Tamara, grabbed her wrist again, and whispered, "Go. Now." Tamara nodded and stepped away quickly. She didn't look back. She walked as fast as she could until she reached the main road. Only then did she breathe again. But she didn't go home. Not yet. She walked into a small side street behind a row of shops, a quiet corner. No cars, no people, just shadows and dust. She opened the document again. Her fingers felt cold as she traced the circled name. The person behind the missing money. The person redirecting millions. The person signing fake approvals. It wasn't Kelvin. He was terrible, but he wasn't smart enough. This person was much more dangerous, much closer. And when Tamara whispered the name out loud, her voice trembled. Because the name circling the stolen money was someone she had eaten with, laughed with, trusted with her biggest secrets, someone from her father's inner circle. Before she could process it, her phone vibrated. A message. "Unknown number. Tamara Lawson. We know where you were this morning. Stop digging before you end up like your father." Her knees weakened, her hands shook violently, her chest tightened. End up like your father? What did that mean? What exactly happened to her father? Suddenly, a black motorcycle sped past the street, circled back, and stopped right behind her. The rider wore a black helmet. He didn't remove it. He didn't speak. He only stretched out his hand and dropped a small brown envelope at her feet. Then he sped off. Tamara stared at the envelope, her heartbeat drumming in her ears. She bent slowly, picked it up, and opened it. Inside was a single photo, a photo that made her blood run cold. It was her, dressed in her cleaner uniform, kneeling on the floor, crying, while Kelvin stood over her laughing. Someone had taken it, someone inside the company, someone who wanted her to know one thing. "We're watching you." Her phone buzzed again. "Unknown number. Leave Lawson Global alone, or you will regret it." Tamara's breath hitched. Her humiliation was not just an accident, it was a warning, a message, a trap she didn't see coming. And now someone wanted her gone, forever. Her fingers curled around the photo, her jaw tightened. "I am not going anywhere," she whispered. But suddenly, her phone rang again this time. It was Uncle Bernard, voice shaking. "Tamara, don't go home. Don't go anywhere alone. They know who you are. Something terrible is coming. You need to—" The call cut off. A dead, heavy silence followed, and behind her, the same black motorcycle slowly rolled back into the street and stopped right in front of her. The black motorcycle's engine growled like a trapped animal. Its headlight shone straight at Tamara, blinding her for a second. Her hands trembled, her breath froze in her chest. Her heartbeat raced so fast it felt like her ribs might crack. The rider did not speak. He didn't remove his helmet. He only sat there silent, still, watching her. Like a shadow. Like a threat. Like someone waiting for a signal. Tamara's fingers tightened around the brown envelope until it bent. A cold fear spread through her stomach. Why is he back? What does he want? What does he know? The message from Uncle Bernard replayed in her mind. Something terrible is coming. Don't go anywhere alone. Everything inside her screamed, run. But her feet wouldn't move. They felt heavy, stuck to the ground. The rider lifted his head slightly. Even through the dark helmet, she felt his eyes on her. Watching. Judging. Measuring her fear. Then a sudden horn blared from the main road. A Danfo bus sped past the side street, honking loudly. The rider turned his head sharply. That 1-second distraction was all Tamara needed. She broke into a run. Her slippers slapped the ground as she dashed toward the crowded marketplace ahead. The rider revved his engine and surged forward, but when he reached the mouth of the market, he stopped. He couldn't go further. Too many people, too many cars, too much traffic. Tamara pushed through small groups of people until she reached a busy food stall. She hid behind it, her chest rising and falling fast. Her palms were sweaty, her knees shook. She peeked from behind a stack of crates. The motorcycle was still at the edge of the road, engine rumbling. Watching, waiting, and then, slowly, it turned around and rode away. Tamara let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Her hands shook uncontrollably. Her throat felt dry. Who are they? Why are they watching me? What does "end up like your father" even mean? She slumped against the wall of the food stall. Her legs were too weak to stand. A memory flashed, her father's last days. The way he suddenly collapsed in his office. The confusing medical report. The silence from the board. Nobody talked about it. Nobody questioned it. Nobody looked deeper. But now, with the warning message and the hidden threats, Tamara felt a truth she had never considered before. What if he didn't die naturally, she whispered. What if someone helped him die? A chill moved down her spine. She closed her eyes tightly, but the fear only grew stronger. Her father had trusted people who sat at the top with him. People who smiled. People who raised glasses at dinners. People he believed were loyal. But what if one of them wasn't? What if one of them wanted control? What if her phone vibrated again, making her jump? A message. From Uncle Bernard. Uncle Bernard. Where are you? Reply immediately. It's urgent. Her fingers shook as she typed back. I'm safe. But someone is following me. What's going on? 3 dots appeared as he typed a reply. Then his message came through, short, panicked, terrifying. Uncle Bernard. Do not trust anyone. Not even Clarice. Don't go home. Go to a safe place. I'm coming to find you. Tamara felt her blood run cold. Not even Clarice? The same Clarice who warned her in front of the gate. The same Clarice who gave her the financial document. The same Clarice who looked terrified. Her entire foundation felt like it was cracking. If she couldn't trust Clarice, who could she trust? Was Clarice helping her or stopping her from reaching the truth? Before she could think further, someone tapped her shoulder. Tamara gasped and spun around. It was an elderly woman selling vegetables. Her face was wrinkled, soft, kind. My daughter, the woman said gently, you look like you are running from something. Tamara swallowed. I just need somewhere to stay for a moment. The woman nodded and pointed to a wooden bench behind her stall. You can sit. Nobody will disturb you here. Tamara thanked her and sat. Her body still shook. Her mind raced with questions. But one thing stood out sharply, painfully. The circled name in the document Clarice had given her. The name of the person stealing company funds. The name of the person with fake signatures. The name she trusted. The name her father trusted. The name was Mr. Collins Adeyemi, the longest-serving board member, her father's closest friend, the man who practically raised her after her father died. Tears filled her eyes. No, it can't be him. she whispered. He would never hurt Daddy. But the document said otherwise. The money trail said otherwise. The warning message said otherwise. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, but this time, it wasn't a call. It was a video. Sent from an unknown number. Tamara hesitated. Then, she pressed play. Her heart stopped. The video showed her father, sitting in his office, breathing heavily, looking pale and weak. Someone behind the camera said, "Sir, let me call an ambulance." Her father shook his head, whispered in a tired voice, "No, no ambulance. Someone poisoned." The video cut off. Tamara covered her mouth with both hands. Tears streamed down her face. Her body shook violently. Her father didn't collapse naturally. He was trying to tell someone something. He suspected someone. He was afraid. The threats, the warnings, the stolen money, the fake signatures. Everything connected. Someone inside Lawson Global killed her father. And that same someone was watching her now, following her, threatening her, waiting for her to make the wrong move. Her hands balled into fists. Her tears dried. Something fierce rose inside her like fire. "I will not run," she whispered. "I will not hide." But as she stood up from the bench, ready to move, a loud crash sounded behind her. She turned sharply and saw Uncle Bernard's car speeding toward her, with shattered glass where his side window used to be, and a black motorcycle chasing him from behind at full speed. Tamara's heart jumped into her throat. Uncle Bernard's car swerved wildly as it flew down the narrow marketplace road, crashing into crates, scattering baskets of tomatoes and oranges everywhere. The black motorcycle behind him roared like a hungry beast. The rider leaned forward, helmet glinting under the sun, chasing him with terrifying speed. "Uncle Bernard!" Tamara cried, her voice cracking. People screamed and ran out of the way as the car tore past them. Children jumped aside. Merchants pulled their tables back. Traffic guards shouted. Tamara watched in horror as the motorcycle drew closer and closer to the back of Bernard's car, inches away. "Please stop. Leave him alone," she screamed, even though she knew they couldn't hear her. At the curve of the road, Bernard saw her, standing frozen near the vegetable stall. He shouted her name, "Tamara, run!" But before she could even breathe, before she could take one step, bang! A violent smash echoed through the market. The motorcycle struck the side of Bernard's car. The impact threw the bike sideways. Bernard's car spun out of control, skidding through the dirt, smoke spraying from the tires until it crashed into a stack of abandoned metal drums. Tamara screamed and ran toward the wreck. "Uncle Bernard, no, please!" People gathered quickly, shouting, panicking. Dust filled the air. Smoke rose from the engine. The rider lifted himself painfully from the ground, shook his head, and staggered away, running into the nearest alley before anyone could stop him. Tamara reached the car and pulled the door open with shaking hands. "Uncle Bernard, stay with me, please." He was breathing, but barely. Blood trickled from his forehead. His glasses were cracked. His hands shook weakly. Tamara," he whispered. Tears blurred her vision. "It's okay. I'm here. I'm here." He grabbed her wrist with surprising strength. "Tamara, listen, there's no time. You need to hear this." "Save your strength," she begged. "Let me get help." "No," he hissed. "Listen, now." She froze. Bernard's voice trembled, but his eyes were filled with urgency. "They didn't kill your father by accident," he whispered. "They wanted the company. They wanted everything." Tamara's breath stopped. Her worst fear, now spoken aloud. Bernard coughed, chest shaking. "Your father found out that someone on the board was stealing money. He confronted them. He thought they would confess. He trusted them." His grip tightened on her wrist, but instead, they poisoned his drink during the board dinner and made it look like a heart attack. Tamara felt her whole body go numb. Her knees weakened. Her father hadn't died in peace. He had died betrayed. By someone he trusted. Someone she trusted. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Who? Who did it?" Bernard swallowed hard. "Collins," he breathed. "Collins Adeyemi." Tamara backed away slightly, trembling. No. That's impossible. Collins was his closest friend. He loved him like a brother. Bernard shook his head slowly, painfully. Not anymore. Greed changed him. Collins wanted full control. And now he knows you are investigating. He wants to finish what he started. Tamara felt ice in her veins. She remembered the circled name on the stolen money report. She remembered the video of her father gasping for breath. She remembered the threatening messages. Her voice cracked. He's trying to kill me. Bernard nodded weakly. You must expose him. But not now. You need proof. You need safety. His hand slipped. His breathing grew weaker. No, 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 Tamara cried. Open your eyes, please. But Bernard shook his head again. Listen, I put something in the glove compartment. The real evidence. The file Collins would kill for. Tamara's heart raced. She reached into the broken glove compartment and pulled out a thick, sealed brown folder. What's inside? She whispered. Bernard forced one more breath. Everything. And then his head fell back. Tamara gasped. Uncle Bernard. She shook him gently. His chest rose. Once, then fell, and didn't rise again. No, please, she cried, voice breaking. People rushed to the car. Some tried calling an ambulance. Some asked questions. Some just watched helplessly. But Tamara couldn't hear any of them. She held Bernard's hand to her chest, crying harder than she had cried since her father's death. Her world felt shattered, but as she lifted her head, her tears dripping onto the dirt, something changed inside her. Something sharpened. Something hardened. Her father was murdered. Now Bernard was dead. The mysterious rider had been watching her for weeks. Someone high in Lawson Global wanted her gone. And they thought humiliation would break her. They thought fear would silence her. They thought she would run away. But now they had made the biggest mistake of their lives. Tamara stood up slowly. Her face was streaked with tears. Her hands clutched the folder Bernard died protecting. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel like a hidden heiress. She didn't feel like a scared cleaner. She didn't feel weak. She felt angry, a deep, burning anger, an anger that filled her with courage. Collins Adiemi, she whispered, voice trembling with hatred. You will answer for what you did. She turned toward the main road, ready to walk away, ready to disappear, ready to plan her next move, when suddenly, a black-tinted car she recognized from the boardroom pulled up in front of her. The back window rolled down slowly, and sitting inside, with a cold smile on his face, was Collins himself. Tamara, he said calmly, as if greeting a child, you've caused enough trouble today. Her heart pounded. She stepped back, clutching the evidence file. Collins leaned forward slightly, his eyes sharp and deadly. Get in the car, Tamara, he said softly. Let's talk, before you make things worse for yourself. People around the market froze. No one dared to move. No one dared to speak. Tamara's heart hammered against her ribs. If she got in that car, she might never come out again. If you like this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.